Hi there. Good morning. Sit down, get your coffee. I'm going to talk a while about life and the changes that just keeps changing and how you have to just adapt. And I'm 90 and I have adapted to a lot of different lifestyles. So I like this verse because it's always went with me. And it is Joshua 1:9. Do not be afraid or discouraged, for I, the Lord your God, am with you wherever you go. And I've been a lot of places, done a lot of things, enjoyed some of it, didn't enjoy all of it. But children, that's life. It's not happy all the time. I mean, what helps is keeping a good outlook on life. And I have failed before, especially after Buddy died. But I'm going to give you a little rundown on some of the things and the changes in my life. And I remember when I was a little 4-year-old girl. I can remember back to when I was 4. Pretty easy. It's all there. We lived in this little red house in Smith Holler. My grandma Smith, Grandma Ayers, she was a Smith before she got married. My cat just knocked the thing off the table over there, the one I like so well. He came in, got his treat. When he comes in, every time Big Tom comes in, I have to give him treat from his Temptations things. Just 3 or 4 little, and that keeps his teeth healthy. So I lived in this little red house with my mom and my daddy, about a block and a half from the little Assembly of God church where I went to Sunday school. And life was happy. There was a garden out beside the house, and weeds grew up and butterflies was everywhere. And I remember chasing the butterflies and having such a happy time. It was a happy time. And my Aunt Amanda, who was 12 years old, was my Sunday school teacher. And I enjoyed going to Sunday school by myself because I could walk. It was only like a block or so, the Assembly of God Church. And that was my 4-year-old life, and it was wonderful. My grandma Ayers, Old Man Dan's wife, we called him Old Man Dan because Grandpa was not a nice man when he was younger. He used to drink the homemade wine, and he wasn't good man, but he got saved later on in life. Thank God. Then he wasn't Old Man Dan anymore. He was a kind old man. He had a stroke, and the Lord healed him from it, thanks to prayer. And when he came out of that, he was a changed man and gave his heart to the Lord. So Grandma got to see her husband serve the Lord, and she was a faithful Christian. So after that, Daddy got a job, and we had a cat, Old Bum, and he was a big gray cat, a big tomcat. And I was crazy about Old Bum. He was my cat. And I said, if we moved to North Carolina, to the mountains, I want Old Bum to go with me. Daddy said, okay, no problem. It was a problem. Daddy put him in a cardboard box, put him in the rumble seat. I don't know when he chose his new home. He did not stay in that cardboard box. He was gone. Well, I cried, and there was a sad time because I've always been a cat lover. Old Big Bum, and he was an older cat. He had 3 legs, but he managed to get out of that. He had caught his leg in a rat trap sometime in his youth, and they had to take it off. And I had him as my pet. Now you know I have Big Tom, and he's right over there on the table. I can show you where he's at. He's right there. Can you see him? Resting on the table. I've got Hannity paused right now. Yeah, there he is, I think. Anyway, this swivels and it's real handy. I could just bring it around, turn it whichever way I want. Now that thing came from Amazon and run me $29, but it's worth every penny. Okay, so we went to the mountains, Skyline Drive, and we lived there. And it was a joyful time because we loved the woods and the huckleberries we could pick. And Mom just always said, watch for snakes. and we had to use the potty out in the woods. We didn't have a toilet. But what we lived in, and which I've told before, was like a shed that was on sled runners, and the big tractors would move it from place to place when we lived on the Skyline Drive. And there was another family that lived the same way we did, and he worked for them too, and her name was Arlene, and I remember her well, and we were best buddies, me and Arlene. But my mom and dad would not hang out with them. They drank beer and had parties. People came up and they have these loud parties. Mom and Dad didn't fool with them because Mom and Dad did not drink beer and did not live that way. But they let me be friends with Arlene. And so me and Arlene had a teeter-totter that we loved playing on. You take a board and put it on like a sawhorse, and then one goes up, one goes down. And that's when I broke my arm for the first time. And it was so bad that they had to locate Daddy and take me to town and get it set. So we went to town, and the doctor says, "Now, Daddy, you hold her. I'm going to straighten this arm because it didn't come through the skin or anything." And all he did was pull really hard, and the bones popped back into place, and they put a cast on it, and I got well. Thank you, Jesus. So we had a good time in the mountains, really. Used to, when it would rain, they had those big old trucks that hauled, they were on a bed, and they were real deep, and they would load the rocks and stuff in them, and they were empty on the weekends. And when it came a deluge and just poured the rain, which it did yesterday here, I mean, it came down and it was a deluge. I tell you what, you couldn't see where you was going, and we was driving. We drove carefully. I said, "Put your lights on for sure," because this Honda he's got, it's a 2000 Honda van, and we like it. And you have to turn the lights on and off. It's so old, but it runs good. James is very thrifty. He really is. So he turned the lights on, and we went right through that. But when it would rain like that up in the mountains, it would all get over, and Daddy says, "I'm taking y'all swimming." "Where in the world are we going swimming?" He said, "I'll show you." So you know what he would do? He would put us in the truck and take us to the work site where those big dumpsters were on a bed. And it would have water so deep in it that now on him, it only came up to his knees or a little above. And was that fun? I mean, we got to just play in that water. We didn't have a creek up in the mountains, but we had those big old things we could get in and play in. And so we looked around one day, and Phyllis went with us, and she was very little then because I was probably only 7, and Norman was about 5, and Phyllis was 3, because we had like 2.5 years so between our ages. You know why women had babies every 2 or 3 years back then. You know what their birth control was? As long as you nursed that baby, in the old days, you wouldn't ovulate. So therefore, you could have safe sex because you wouldn't get pregnant as long as you was nursing a baby. So that's why a lot of the people have their kids, like Grandma Edens and Grandma Ayers both had kids like 2 years apart. How comes they had them 2 years apart? Because they would nurse those babies for a couple of years, and then they'd get pregnant again. You learned something today you didn't know, but it's true. So Phyllis suddenly disappeared when we went swimming, and Daddy said, "Where's Phyllis?" And all of a sudden, he was going all around through that thing, filling for Phyllis, and all of a sudden, he drug her up out of it, and she was a spitting and a gasping. Little kids, when they get underwater like that, sometimes they don't know what to do, and she was just a little old thing, but he saved her life, and we all rejoiced, and that's what we did up in the mountains. We had a good time up there because, I mean, we saw bears, but you know, they would just walk on down the road from you. They never came near you or anything when we was up on the Skyline Drive. No. So that's one phase of my life that I really enjoyed. And I've had many phases. And now next time, I'll tell about the next phase of when we moved to Lynchburg, out of the mountains. And I was in 3rd grade by then. Daddy had to take me to school and drive me out of the mountains to go to 1st to 2nd and start in 3rd grade. And I enjoyed it. So there you go. First phase. It's story time. I was listening to Grandma, let's see, Chit Chat with Granny Pat this morning. And she was telling about where has politeness gone. And people are not like polite like they used to be. And y'all check her out. I love her and Betty Shan, S-H-A-N, and all around Grandma. There's a bunch of us grandmas out there, and we like to talk to y'all. We love you, and we're all good grandmas. We're in this together. That's what I say. So God bless you. Have a blessed day. I just remembered. You know, I can roll my eyes around like, you know who Elsa Kirk is. She's the one that parodies Kamala. And I tell you what, the way that Kamala laughs is something else. But she can laugh just like Kamala Harris, and it's so funny. She does a parody of Kamala. So I'm going to put my glasses on. But I don't know how I go cross-eyed. And some of them say I don't. My brother Denny says I don't. But I'm sure I do. So, sweetheart, I'm going to kiss you goodbye. And it was fun. And I'll give you another session tomorrow if you're interested. Check out my old videos. I got some good ones on, you know, like the killer bra. Have you saw that one? If you haven't. And the $200 wedding when I married number 3. That was a good one. And how the Lord gave me babies when I couldn't have children. And now they're 70 years old. I better shut up. I gotta go. Y'all are just so sweet. God bless each and every one of you. And thank you for subscribing. I just can't thank you enough. And I'm getting paid now. This is my new job, and I want to do a good job of it. Sharing my life of 90 years. And I'm going to tell you sometime what it feels like being 90. You can't tell it. That's it. I mean, I still feel, 32? I do not feel 90 because my health is good and I am blessed. So I pray that that'll happen for you too, and you will enjoy. I've enjoyed many years and still enjoying. Shane is, you never know what he's going to do next. And he's very entertaining when he's around. This morning he was complaining. Okay, so I'm carrying over. He was complaining about an employee he has. And listened to the complaints and he said, I just don't know about it. And I looked at him and I said, and what can I do for you? He started laughing because there's nothing you can do. You just might as well let it go. And I have learned to let a lot of things go in this life. Like the other day, and I'm going to tell you something private that I don't tell everybody. But James's chair that he sits in, I have put blankets on it till I am sick of putting blankets. They get out of shape. They don't look good, and that chair is ugly color, and it's yucky. So I told James, I said, well, I just ordered, you may not want to listen to all this, but it's fun. I said, I just ordered a cover that will stay on that chair because the blankets won't stay. I don't care how hard you try. Where's my coffee? You cannot get the blankets to stay, children. I'm telling you. I've been doing it ever since I married him. No, one time we had another chair and we had covers. So I ordered a cover from Amazon. It's getting here today. But do you know what he said? He's so thrifty. He said, how much was it? I said, well, it was $20 and I charged it to your account. I have an account, but I'm not paying for a chair cover for your chair that you sit in all the time. He says, I tell you what, I don't even need a cover. He said, just take that blanket off there and I'll just use it just like it is. I said, okay, if that's what you want to do. So I took the blanket off. And what happened next was funny. He looked at that chair and he said, I forgot it was so ugly. And It is. It's a horrible color. And I mean, a blanket helps it if you can keep it on it. So I said, well, I can cancel the cover if you want me to. Oh, no, he said, don't cancel that cover. $20 ain't bad. So I had a good laugh over that. You just have to learn how to handle your man. That's all there is to it. Sometimes it's not easy. But taking that cover off and letting him look at that, he says, you know, I really forgot how ugly that chair was. I said, why do you think we've been putting blankets on it anyway? I said, and it's a very comfortable chair, and it kicks back. So he didn't want to give his chair up. So that chair cover will be here today. Thank you, Jesus. Now y'all walk that walk where Jesus would be pleased with you. And I'm working on it, because I tell you what, sometimes I can't get used to thriftiness. I mean, you know, if you really need it, get it. He decided we needed it after he looked at it. Usually he don't say anything, but he did that time, and that's what happened. Came out good. Of course, I did have to go to the bedroom and kind of pray about it a little bit when he said, I don't need it, because I thought, I'm not going to argue about this. You know, to keep peace, sometimes it's just best to depart for a little while so you don't say anything that's really ugly, which I felt like doing. You do feel like that. See, we're tempted, but we can't give in to it all the time. So with the help of the Lord, I made it. Bye-bye. Love you.